NH1 News at 6 starts right now. It's an uncommon strain of a very common family of viruses, but tonight, it's spreading into the Northeast. What you need to know about this respiratory illness.
We just all huddled in a group, and we're yelling to talk, and we just had to be like penguins. We were going back and forth like this to keep warm.
NH1 gets an up-close look at what it takes to complete a search and rescue mission in the Granite State. This is New Hampshire 1 News at 6.
Thank you for joining us, everyone, for NH1 News at 6. I'm Paul Mueller.
And I'm Kiki Venzel. A dangerous virus is making its way toward the Northeast, and it could put your children at risk.
That's right. Tonight, NH1 News asks, how do we protect ourselves against the virus right here in New Hampshire? NH1's Tyler Dumont joins us now with the latest. Tyler?
It's called the Enterovirus D68. The Centers for Disease Control says it has impacted kids across the nation, and cases have now reportedly hit the Northeast and New England, with doctors in New York and Connecticut saying that they're now treating patients. The fear, could New Hampshire be next? Children in the U.S. are getting sick from the Enterovirus D68.
So it certainly could be making its way here.
What started as similar symptoms to a cold soon took a turn for the worse for young Madison in eastern Idaho.
She was breathing very fast. Her heart rate was up a little bit, and so we brought her into the emergency room.
Madison isn't alone. At least one patient was treated in the ICU at Connecticut Children's Medical Center. And as of last week, one expert says he's seen 8 children he highly suspects contracted the infection.
We're not seeing bacterial infections, we're not seeing severe pneumonia. It really looks like just bad asthma.
Other symptoms include fever, muscle aches, and coughing. While the Connecticut hospital hasn't confirmed its suspected cases through testing yet, officials here in New Hampshire are keeping an eye out.
We're getting reports of from clinicians of patients presenting to the emergency room with respiratory symptoms.
Chan says the state is ready to take on the virus if it comes here.
So this is, again, a common cause of the cold. Doctors and healthcare providers are capable of handling patients with these types of symptoms.
The CDC says that from mid-August to just last week, a total of 97 people in 6 states were confirmed to have the illness caused by the virus. Some individual state laboratories may also have confirmed cases, but they aren't included in the CDC's case count. Officials say there is no vaccine for preventing infection. In the studio, I'm Tyler Dumont, NH1 News.
Tyler, thanks for that report tonight. Lawyers for convicted murderer Seth Mazzaglia are appealing his case, questioning evidence used against him. Mazzaglia is sentenced to life without parole for killing and raping UNH student Elizabeth Lizzie Marriott. Mazzaglia denies that, but admits to covering up her murder. The appeal questions excluded evidence and testimony, saying he was prone to making threats. An appeal hearing is not yet scheduled. A former St. Paul's High School student who's facing charges for biting and sexually assaulting a 15-year-old will now be tried in Superior Court in light of a grand jury indictment.
That's right. Owen LeBray, accused of contacting freshman girls, it's all part of an annual tradition called Senior Salute. That's where seniors try to get romantic with younger students. Now, LeBray was set to attend Harvard, but no longer enrolled there. His future court date has not yet been set.
And you know, Paul, the campaign trail is heating up with just 50 days to go until Election Day. A new poll showing Jean Shaheen and Scott Brown are deadlocked.
And to many, that's not surprising. A CNN survey showing the Democratic senator and her Republican challenger are each at 48% among New Hampshire voters. NH1 political director Paul Steinhauser asked what each candidate will do if they win the election. Paul?
I met up with both Shaheen and Brown this weekend, and I asked each of them what would be their top domestic priority come January. Brown told me repealing Obamacare would be his first order of business.
It's destroying businesses, that wet blanket over businesses. And let's say, well, we don't have enough votes to sustain a veto. I believe we can change the conversation, allow the president to come back to the table and actually allow businesses to do their jobs, which is to create jobs, and allow people to opt out and actually go and retain their plans and their policies and their hospitals that they enjoyed.
If you're reelected in November and you go back to Washington for another term, what is your #1 domestic priority that you'd like to get accomplished, to get passed in the Senate and through the House and signed by the president?
Well, one of the things that I've been working on for 3.5 years now with Rob Portman, who's a Republican from Ohio, is energy efficiency legislation. It's got a broad coalition of support. It would create about 200,000 jobs, reduce the number of cars on the road, so the amount of carbon in the atmosphere, and save consumers about $16 billion a year.
By the way, NH1 will be hosting debates for the Senate race, as well as the gubernatorial and both congressional contests coming up next month. Paul Steinhauser, NH1 News.
Looking forward to those debates. All right. Thank you, Paul. Senate Democrats sticking together today to deliver a political victory for Governor Maggie Hassan. The governor vetoed a bill that would have cut funding and restructured how the state's 60-person juvenile facility in Manchester is run. Republicans failed to get enough votes to override that veto. Now, Londonderry Republican Senator Sharon Carson says the governor doesn't have the power to change staffing on her own, while Concord Democrat Senator Sylvia Larson says today's vote gives more time for both parties to work together. Take a listen.
The governor does not have the ability to create statute on her own. That is our job.
We have to balance that, and I think by the veto of this bill, it gives the legislature more time to find that appropriate balance.
And in other news, a registered sex offender who stole a Nashua couple's car with a child in the back seat has been charged with kidnapping. Police say the parents knew Victor Baez and asked him to look after the child while they were in a Woburn court. But when they came out, he was gone. The baby was found safe in the car about 45 minutes later. Baez is facing several charges.
Good to hear that child is okay. Meantime, Keene police say one of their officers is now recovering tonight after being hit by a car. Officer Matthew Griffin riding a department bicycle around the Main Street roundabout when he was hit. The 20-year-old driver of the car called 911 himself and actually wanted for help. Officer Griffin has minor injuries.
And Keene police also tell us a man left the scene after injuring a pregnant woman with his car. Police say she was leaning on the car when the driver took off without warning. She has minor injuries, and police say charges are likely in that case.
Meantime, a Salem man is being held. There he is without bail after police say he was streaming video from inside a woman's bathroom at a coffee shop. That's right. Police in Arlington, Massachusetts say Joseph Hennessy hid a camera inside a plant in that bathroom and then watched the live video right inside the cafe feet away. Police are now looking into whether he's been targeting other stores. What a story.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It may say it's summer, but I'm really not believing it because we had a frost advisory in parts of the state.
It could be hard to believe, you know, but we're hardy Granite Staters, so we can deal with it.
We can deal with it.
Right. Temperatures dropping down into 30s, I think. Clayton, is that right? In some parts of the North Country?
That was the case this past night. We had some first frost for a lot of folks out there. Fall, of course, the official start still a week away, but getting us prepped here ahead of time. The good news, folks, if you have those agricultural concerns for this, I don't think it's going to be as chilly. We're talking increasing clouds and some showers rolling in after midnight with a frontal boundary, so that will make for warmer overnight with some showers for the Tuesday. They look to be on the light side, but I think we will have the windshield wipers going as we head out and about for the morning commute. You'll need the umbrellas as well. It'll clear out later Tuesday afternoon, and then it looks like the stage is set here for a pretty nice stretch of weather as we continue for the week. So our overnight lows here, generally mid to upper 40s at the coast here, the seacoast, low 50s. Rain showers come in after the midnight hour, and then there's our Tuesday planner. Morning showers will taper as we get past the noon hour and eventually give way to mostly sunny sky with temps in the 60s. Kiki.
Thanks a lot, Clayton. And we are tracking several big stories across the nation that are hitting home here in New Hampshire. For more on that, let's go to our Sherry Small. Sherry?
President Obama is calling the Ebola outbreak a national security priority. The president is visiting the CDC tomorrow to discuss U.S. response. Now, also tomorrow, surviving Ebola patient and Dr. Kent Brantley is set to testify at a Senate hearing on the outbreak. The president is asking Congress for $88 million to fight the virus that's killed more than 2,000 people. All right, and in this video message you see here, Attorney General Eric Holder says the Justice Department is launching pilot programs to deal with Americans wanting to join extremists. The programs will involve reaching out to religious and community leaders. Hillary Clinton is admitting that 2016 is on her mind. Clinton announcing from an Iowa stage, quote, "I'm back." It happened during an event honoring retiring Senator Tom Harkin. But will Hillary Clinton pay a visit here to the Granite State? Democratic sources say they expect to see both Hillary and Bill Clinton in the state before the midterm elections to campaign with Senator Jeanne Shaheen and the rest of the party's ticket. Paul, Kiki.
All right, Sherry, thank you so much. And now to the controversy over the NFL's domestic abuse policy. We wanted to look into how this debate is actually impacting programs that help victims right here in New Hampshire.
Manchester police are seeing an average of, get this, 6 domestic abuse arrests a day. At least 1/3 of New Hampshire women have been the victim of a physical assault. Bridges, it's a help group in Nashua, and it says more than 100 people have called into their hotline since the release of the Ray Rice video.
We think this is something positive as a result of the video, and we hope to continue the dialogue about not just the presence of crisis centers in New Hampshire that can help, but also our statewide hotline.
Right now, New Hampshire can't identify exactly how many domestic violence crimes occur, but that will change when Joshua's Law goes into effect on January 1st, and that creates a specific designated crime for domestic incidents.
The family of slain New Hampshire journalist James Foley is running a fund to help other families who have loved ones being held hostage. Foley was kidnapped back in 2012. His mother, Diane, says the U.S. government could have done more, saying there was no clear strategy to bring him home. Ahead, it happens more than you think. Bad weather, unexpected injuries, leaving hikers stranded in dangerous situations.
Scary stuff, but how do Fish and Game officials pull off these daring rescues? What you should know before hitting the trails. NH1 News at 6 is back after this.
Welcome back tonight. The natural beauty of the Granite State has an ugly side, and you don't want to see it. New Hampshire's Fish and Game Rescue Team knows that all too well. Throughout the years, the group has saved the lives of lost and injured hikers. Some of the rescuers belong to the Army National Guard, and they say the missions here can be tougher than ones in the middle of a war zone. Tonight, a look at what it takes to take on Mother Nature. From strength
10, 11, Chris.
Good job.
To endurance. Every year, members of New Hampshire's Fish and Game Rescue Team have to meet certain fitness standards. And there's a good reason why.
The only way to compare it is if I told you to get on a stair climber for 8 hours and you only took like a couple times you stopped to rest on it and kept going on the stair climber for another few hours. Then you put like a 40-pound backpack on you, and then either crank up the heat in your house to like a day like this, or you crank it down so low that it's like below zero.
Hawks has 13 years on the team. On the day NH1 met him, he didn't suit up for the fitness test after a hectic 24 hours.
I got home at 3 a.m. We did about a 10-mile hike for a hiker that had fallen down, hit his head, and it opened up a wound pretty good. It was bleeding pretty profusely.
You see I have an ice axe to the outside.
And this video shows what team members carry into the rugged terrain to help them during a mission. They told us poor planning triggers most rescue efforts. The team warns hikers not to rely on cell phones that may not have service or can run out of battery. But if trouble comes on the trail, sometimes they say technology can help.
If you call 911, they can put a GPS coordinate on you at a phase 2, and then we can basically say, yep, she's right there, or he's right there.
It's not always that easy. These pictures from the team show real-life rescues here in the Granite State. On some missions, it gets so cold, cell phone cameras don't even work.
It was like -30 or something like that, and it was, I forget how fast the winds were, but enough where I had to yell to talk.
Sometimes the Army National Guard airlifts people to safety. The rescue conditions have even tested our nation's finest.
They told us that they've been to, I think, Iraq or Afghanistan a few times, and they said that was their hardest mission they've ever flown.
And it's also worth mentioning the team has a strong core of volunteers who help. New Hampshire law requires people rescued to foot the bill if they're found negligent. Costs can range from $200,000 to $50,000. Recently, though, New Hampshire Fish and Game has received public input on giving people the option to buy a hike safe card for about $25. Now, having one of those cards would let a hiker off the hook for the cost of a rescue, even if they're proven to be negligent.
You know what I find really interesting about that story is that often we hear about the victim, the person who has to be rescued, but we never hear about the rescuers themselves.
And I got to spend a lot of time with them, and I thank them for letting me do that. They have grueling stories to tell. Lots of them, all of them have stories to tell.
They certainly do, and they have to put so much effort into doing what they do.
Yes, long hours on the job, that's for sure.
All right, good stuff.
Up next, the Aurora Borealis seen from New Hampshire's highest point.
Look at that. Clayton explains this incredible phenomenon, right, Clayton?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Spectacular stuff there. Weather-wise for our Tuesday, some morning showers give way to mostly sunny sky in the 60s, and it looks like much of the rest of the week going to be quite nice. I'll tell you about it with the 7-day straight ahead.
Welcome back tonight. Can you believe this? Right in our own very backyard, this time lapse from the Mount Washington Observatory showing the Aurora Borealis, also known as the Northern Lights. Chief Meteorologist Clayton Stiver is here to explain this beautiful light show, and it's a rare occurrence that we see this around here.
Certainly around here. I mean, it's more typical of the poles, the North and South Pole, you'll see it quite a bit, but what happens is we get what we call these solar flares, these geomagnetic storms, if you will. Sun's energy kind of explodes outward, if you will, folks, and these charged particles from the sun, from that solar flare, kind of mix with gases in the Earth's atmosphere in the upper levels, and that solar flare can help to bring some of that energy, those northern lights, down to further south latitudes, if you will, and that's why we get to see it. So there you go, just an explanation of what the Aurora Borealis is, that natural display of streamers caused by that collision of gaseous particles in Earth's atmosphere with large particles from the sun. We always like to teach you a little bit about some weather and science, some astronomical things here during your weather forecast, a little knowledge to pass along. We're tracking some rain showers in here tonight, folks, but I think it comes in well after the midnight hour. Just a slight chance, a 30% chance. It should be light in nature. We could see some fog, but how about those warmer overnight lows, only down into the 40s this time. Tuesday will feature some morning rain showers, fairly cloudy, but by the afternoon I expect a nice clearing trend, and that should allow things to warm up into the 60s. It looks like we're talking a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch of total rainfall here, so nothing too terribly heavy. If you're heading to Boston for work tomorrow morning, the morning commute cloudy with showers. As we get into the afternoon, we can see the clearing sky, though, with temperatures climbing up into the middle 60s. Outdoor-wise, we'll call it good for tomorrow as we have the clearing sky in the afternoon. Provides good conditions, and things only continuing to get better for our Wednesday and Thursday as we expect ample sunshine. So here's your 7-day forecast. The showers for our Tuesday, then the clearing sky. Wednesday, a sunny one here. We're up to 68 degrees. How about Thursday? Lots of sunshine. We cool it back to 64, and then we could be talking some frost again late Thursday night and also Friday night as those temps are back in the 30s for lows here. We look like to have a good weekend with temperatures climbing back to 74 by Sunday, and then they fall off just a tad on Monday. Kiki, Paul.
That weekend forecast looking good there, Paul.
74 Sunday.
I know.
Time to go to the beach.
That's right.
Let's do it.
Let's go, Paul. Straight ahead tonight, they often surprise visitors to the Granite State.
Oh, indeed they do. We are talking about liquor stores on the highway. Our Charlie Sherman tours the new Hooksett Welcome Center carrying some very unique bottles, and it's a story only our own Charlie Sherman can tell.
Welcome back tonight. The new Hooksett Welcome Center will be a first stop for many tourists heading into the Granite State.
That is indeed true, Kiki, and both north and southbound areas include those large new state liquor stores carrying some very high-end bottles, and we are talking about high-end
for sure.
So we sent our own Charlie Sherman there to take us inside.
While construction continues at the new Hooksett Welcome Center, the 20,000 square foot New Hampshire liquor and wine outlet is open for business.
We needed a new store here for a long time. Those stores were built in the 70s. They were 8,600 square feet, and the liquor business and wine business has developed nationwide.
The extra space in the store allows them to greatly expand the inventory.
We have about 50% more items in this store than we had in the last store. We have nearly 5,000 wine SKUs in this store. as opposed to about 3,000 in the other store.
The new liquor and wine outlet is a public-private partnership that is all New Hampshire.
An RFP went out. There was bids on that RFP. Granite State Hospitality won that RFP, obviously. And, you know, we worked with them from the beginning, from the planning stages of where the buildings would be put, the size of the facility, the feel and look of the facility. And we wanted to make sure that it was uniquely New Hampshire, as they did.
If you have expensive taste, there's a bottle for you.
So, for instance, this bottle of Macallan single malt here in the middle, that's there's only 24 bottles in the world.
No kidding.
And we have 2 of them. We'll have one northbound and one southbound. And it's
so I probably shouldn't touch it because it would probably
it's
be
just
one less.
it's just $5,000 a bottle. So
In Hooksett, New Hampshire, I'm Charlie Sherman, NH1 News.
One bottle northbound, one bottle southbound.
Who's going to buy it, though?
$10,000. That's a good question.
That's a couple paychecks.
We should be there to see who does it.
I know. I would love
Charlie
to.
will go back.
We'll see what happens. Let's toss things over to Clayton for a look at your morning forecast. Hi, Clayton.
Hey, Sherry Paul. We're talking about some rain showers coming in here, I think, well past the midnight hour, but we could have those for that morning commute here. You're heading down 93 to work, perhaps to Boston. Some showers clearing by the afternoon with temperatures in the 60s, and then it looks like the rest of the week looking quite nice. Sunny 60s for highs. Kiki, Paul.
All right, thank you, Clayton. Here at New Hampshire One, we want to tell you about a segment we'll be doing here on NH1 News at 6.
That's right. It's called Your Zip Code, and we want you to tell us what's going on in your town, from schools to crime to events that you think the rest of the state should know about.
We want to hear from you, so just send your ideas. Here's the email address, news@nh1.com.
And thank you so much for watching tonight. We'll see you right back here for NH1 News at 10 o'clock.
That's right. Until then, have a great night, everybody. See you soon.